Well, it comes from what I would call an ultra dispensationalist background. So I will hit on one point only. They do not think that being baptized in water is something you should do now. I think that is fundamentally false. And the reason for my saying that is that salvation is given to those who obey Jesus. That's Hebrews 5:9. That's a good refrigerator verse. If you want to talk about being saved, being given immortality at the future kingdom, at the resurrection, then obeying Jesus is everything. And Jesus commanded in the Great Commission until the end of the age, do everything I commanded you. John the Baptist baptized people. Jesus himself was baptized in water. Jesus baptized people in water. And in First Corinthians, Peter said, in regard to Cornelius, who was proposing to be baptized, Peter said, who can forbid water that he would be baptized? Baptism is one of those absolutely, I think, non-negotiable issues of obedience. So any playing with that sort of issue of obedience or disobedience is very dangerous. And God and Jesus could well say to people who take lightly such an easy and direct command as that, would be in very great danger. I'd warn against it very strongly. So I thoroughly disagree also with that translation, which tells me in the introduction that the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, really belong in the Old Covenant. That doesn't get any worse than that. If you really want to lie about the Bible, that's what you write, because you're getting rid of the teachings of Jesus. So here's something very easy for all of us here to get hold of. 1 Timothy 6 and verse 3 says, listen carefully. If any man does not bring you the teachings of Jesus, and Paul then goes into quite a tirade about how ignorant and stupid and dangerous such a person would be. Do not ever dismiss Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are the teachings of the historical Jesus. By no means ever imagine that they should be under the old covenant. That is absolutely false. That theology comes from somebody who really, I'm tempted to say, must have been drunk at the time he thought of it. It's fundamentally wrong.
There's so much I can say, but let
Yeah,
me start with this, Anthony.
yeah,
They're very good, very, very good on the one God. So as you see
good.
there on the screen,
Hmm.
they're very good on translating and commentating on certain Trinitarian verses, like John 8:58. They have, before Abraham was born, I am the one. Yes, I am he, I am the Messiah. And they talk about how Trinitarians basically misunderstand the ego eimi, the I am statement there. Excellent. Right on. That's great. Okay, but as Anthony was saying, because they're what's known as ultra dispensationalists, hold on to those former teachings of the Way International. So they're holding on to the Way. Pardon the pun.
Hmm.
They're
Yes,
still on the Way.
yes.
And I'll give you a very telling example. On the commentary to Acts 1, verse 5, the phrase with water, there's this very explicit and very scary to me statement. Quote, there is no reason to baptize in water today, period. I think most, if not all of Christianity, would disagree with that vehemently. Vehemently. The beliefs behind these statements are new in the history of Christianity. Our faith is 2000 plus 2000 years, 2 millennia. And as far as I know, there have been no groups until today that have denied baptism as a fundamental tenet of our Christian faith. This is unheard of. Again, don't believe anything we say. Check it out for yourselves. And another comment here I want to show you. To their credit, at least, they're very honest about these things. So in their commentary to Genesis 15, verse 6, they say here, in part, through the centuries, many well-meaning teachers have wrongly taught that trust, that is faith in Jesus, is not enough to be saved. Many things have been added by various teachers or denominations to the simple truth that all a person had to do to be saved was trust in Jesus, that he died, was raised, and is Lord. Some of those wrongly added things include, and here's the list, being water baptized, confessing that you're a sinner, confessing that you're a sinner. I remember a verse somewhere in the letters of John, you're a liar if you don't confess that you sin. Going to church regularly, not sinning after, quote, getting saved. In other words, once saved, always saved. So you can sin because you've been saved. And not committing a, what they call mortal sin,
Well, we're picking out one issue, which is the clearest of all. It is absolutely false to say that water baptism, and we need to say water baptism to distinguish it from baptism in the Spirit, it's false, utterly false, and dangerous to say that water baptism is an optional extra. It wouldn't matter if you did it or not.
My point is that it's not one thing. My point is that there's a litany of things wrong with this translation commentary, because they come from a group that is ultra dispensationalist. By the way, if you'd like to know the history or further on ultra dispensationalism, it's also known as hyper dispensationalism. And here's another example of that. Colossians 1:23. If indeed you continue in the faith, established and steadfast, they translate as you see up here. But look at the commentary. If indeed you continue in the faith, that phrase to them means Christian salvation is permanent. Permanent. This is the old Calvinist lie that you're once saved, always saved. You have confessed Jesus as your Lord and Savior. They take the Roman road thing. If you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, that's it. You can sin up a storm, mortal sins, whatever that means. So I think, Anthony, it's more than the one thing. I mean, I have pages, literally pages I can show you. And please, if you're interested in that, email me. That's my email. But I have pages of stuff that I can show. Unfortunately, from this non-Trinitarian group, I feel compelled to expose, because let's face it, even demons know God is one person. That's no problem. You know, Christianity is not a single issue religion. So